Okay. I think we can start. Is everyone ready? Has everyone got their stuff together? Okay. I can then smack this button. There you go. It's so weird to see my camera as this little like P. Anyway, welcome to the NeosCast. This week we have a few topics to cover. One of our topics is the Oculus Quest back in stock, and do you think it'll cause a surge in new Quest users? I will admit though, I checked it this afternoon and all Quests are now sold out. So between yesterday and today, all Quests are now sold out again, which is pretty crazy that many people are buying Quests. But yeah, what do you guys have to say about that?
Was that just through the Oculus store?
Yeah, just through the Oculus store.
Yeah. What country? You're in South Africa?
Yeah.
I'm wondering, on the Oculus store, if you go to the very bottom, you can change your country. And the interesting thing is, I didn't expect to be learning about world economics by hanging out in VR, but I think I am. I've been paying attention, and basically the stock in Asia rose up, and then it rose up in Europe. And then right when Europe started to get it, Japan went down. Asia went down, and then Europe's starting to go down now, and America started getting it, or North America started getting it. So I'm wondering where everybody is in this wave. It looks like it's almost kind of with shipping and everything. That's just why I was just curious about that.
Yeah, I don't really understand it myself as well, because I think this whole COVID-19 thing has got the whole international markets just fumbling about. And with everything being out of stock, I mean, everyone was trying to like grab the last item on the shelf. So, yeah.
Or resellers.
Yeah, scalpers are
a big portion
everywhere.
Of that could be.
Like,
yep. Because I mean, they know that it's going to be selling.
Like in Michigan, it's illegal to try to sell anything over 20% what you paid for at the retail stores. So
that's good.
I guess in certain states,
really?
You can't sell.
Oh, Reactant, you're not in frame. Do you want to be in frame?
Huh?
Or you should...
What? Are we doing something?
Yeah, we're the podcast.
Yeah, we're live.
It's a
We're live?
podcast.
The world name.
Look at the shock on his face. Like, oh my god, we're live. We're gonna go. Bye.
His eyes, because he has eye tracking, you just see the eyes go like super wide.
As reacting to the VR power user, he's got 400 sensors and eye sensors and 8 headsets. He wears them all at the same time.
Squat on.
Just squatting. Chair there.
Do you have anything to add to that? The whole Oculus Quest being out of stock and scalpers being around and whatnot?
No.
Coffee, do you have anything? You wouldn't. You'd be a smart man if you did. You'd be really smart. Because goodness gracious, on eBay, the Valve Index has doubled its price.
I've seen they were like ridiculous money. I was looking at even like CV1s were like $1,000 on eBay.
Like, it's crazy.
Sorry,
Coffee.
$1,000.
There you go. I've got the camera facing you now.
So I did just check here a moment ago. I do have half a pack of Texas barbecue rib Pringles left.
Look at Coffee's legs.
You must be so comfortable.
I am comfortable.
Reacting naughty.
Oh man.
Anyway, you don't want to add anything?
Quest users you were talking about?
Yeah, like a surgeon.
What would a surge in Quest users be, or how would we measure that? And
level of complaints in VR.
Oh, probably. No kidding.
Yeah, like when I say that, I mean like it all depends on how many headsets are available. I was like, that question was more directed when like it was still in stock. So like if there's a lot of Quests that they have in stock, like, and a lot of people wanting to buy VR, and since the Quest is like the only item that was in stock, were people just gonna jump for that or wait for something else, which is like question number 2. Would you wait
Well, it
for
looks like it was a great question. Yeah.
Would you get a Quest, or would you wait and then go get yourself something else later?
I mean, if you have half a brain, you'd wait.
You think so?
Because the problem with the Quest is you're limited then to technically only Quest things.
Unless you're using the
VR PC to use it to bridge into something like Neos, or you're only going to get access to things that run on the Quest. So it would make no sense to rush into a Quest because it was the only one in stock. If you didn't have a VR ready PC, or if you were quite capable of waiting a few more months and buying an Index, for instance.
I see the Quest. Yeah, go ahead.
Everything HTC is in stock. I mean, you can get a Vive Pro or Vive Pro I or
the Vive Cosmos Elite is
the other one.
is like in stock at the moment, and I know Steve Knows just got a Cosmos Elite, and he says it's really good. So
my friend got one. It says amazing.
Yeah, it's not like the not Elite. You don't want to get that one. That's like a Windows mixed reality headset in disguise. Definitely go for the Elite if you're gonna go with the Cosmos.
Apparently, the Elite also has the ability to change the front of the headset, so you can also have the inside-out tracking.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, do that. You could have both options. New faceplate, yeah.
That's cool. I still think that the Cosmos could be such a good headset if they actually put the time and effort into finishing and polishing it.
It does come with Half-Life Alyx, so that's kind of a plus.
Yeah.
I got that with my controllers and I didn't even know.
No, I bought the whole headset and I didn't get one.
You didn't get one?
No, because I bought a third party.
Oh, yeah.
I have 3 copies of Alyx.
Why?
Did you buy the
at the same time?
I heard about the I heard about them adding Alyx. So when I bought a new set of controllers, I did it on a different account, and my nephew, I lent him my controllers. He played it, used them for a bit, and added Alyx to his account automatically. They did that before it came out, though. That was something that they did for a short while, and people didn't really know about it until right before they had to.
My missus bought my controllers, and I obviously just plugged them in and started playing Neos and stuff. And then Alex released, and I thought, oh, see how much it is. And I looked on the store, and it said it was in my library, and I was like, oh, free, yeah.
Luckily enough, though, because
I've not finished it though.
Because the Steam stores have different pricings. I can't remember who, but someone told me they paid like €50 for Half-Life Alyx, and that's pretty bad shit. Like,
yeah,
€50.
I heard $70. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's about £50 as well. It's about $49.99.
That's crazy.
Pounds.
I mean, in South Africa, I paid 250 rand for it, which is essentially like 10 to 15 euros. Like,
really,
that's nothing. It's legit nothing. So, yeah.
Did you hear that the first 2 weeks they sold 40? I think it was 40.7 million in sales of Half-Life Alyx in the first 2 weeks.
Like that, those kind of numbers make me really happy because it'll.
That doesn't include the free ones, right? That's right.
Like open people's
I guess
eyes.
I didn't know about the free. Oh, you're here too. Hey, what's up?
Zero. 40 million?
That's what. I'm going to double check. Thank you for doubting me. I appreciate that. I'm just going to double check really quick.
Like I'd understand on like the first day or something. Yeah, because like it's up there with some.
Probably maybe 4 million.
Man, there was so many articles about how
they sold
like
a crazy
people were
amount.
so upset.
Yeah.
About how it's like one of the top rated games of this year, and a lot of people are quite upset about it.
Because it's VR only.
Yeah, because it's VR only.
All time, like some of the best-selling Nintendo ones regularly cap between 30 and 50 million. I would be baffled if it managed to sell 40 million in 2 weeks' time. But good. I imagine it did.
Okay, well, yeah. Okay, no, I'm glad you're doubting me. I'm going to keep looking this up. I saw it on a...
Is it 40 million copies or $40 million?
That could do. $40 million just might ridiculous sense.
But
It probably cost
Which
them
would
like
still be
100
astounding
million to
for a
make
VR
it.
game. Don't get me wrong. It's just far smaller market for
Possibly.
it.
yeah. While saying that though, they have a lot of the assets. I mean, so
Oh, they remade the assets. They didn't just drag and drop them.
yeah.
They just resculpted everything. So they'll have to pay a new team of sculptors and modelers and animators and all that sort of stuff to do it.
Yeah.
Valve don't tend to not. It's the one thing they don't skimp on is when they make a game, they don't just kind of half-arse the money at it.
Yeah.
They'll throw whatever they need at it to make it do what it needs to do.
Yeah. And I honestly believe, like, years into the future, Half-Life is still gonna be that game to look at and to play, just like Half-Life 1 and 2 are.
Well, I'm a bit of a sinner. Like, I played some of Alex. I haven't played the other ones at all, so I have no idea.
Yeah, I never played the other ones as well. Alex is incredible.
I actually couldn't beat Alex. I got to chapter 6 and I just couldn't continue because the intensity of the game, the sort of anxiety it invoked, I just couldn't go through it. It was too much.
Man,
Should
those
have been
head
more bothered and
crabs.
spent half an hour wiping pen off a window.
Guilty
Bob
as
found his
charged.
zen. It's like drawing boobs on
It
the
was
glass
so
and then
cool.
rubbing them off with his hand.
It was so cool. I mean, like, just
But they had that in the lab when the Vive released. That's not new.
well, I haven't played that. Well, I haven't played the lab.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
to me, that's my first
VR
experience.
user if you didn't go into the lab and do the bow and arrow with the stick men.
Mm-mm.
Oh, mate, that's like entry-level VR. You have to try the lab at least once. It's 90% junk, but
Valve made it. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
Valve's first VR game.
it was the
little
thing that you
minigame.
got when you plugged the Vive in the first time. It did the room setup, then it did like a quick chit-chat with a robot, and then it went, here, go into the lab.
Okay, I must check it out. Because I know that they have that whole, like, index controller thing as well. With that
I
weird
never tried
robot.
the one where you go to the
Hand lab.
moon and you do the hand things. I did the first thing with the hand where you kind of have to do the rock, paper, scissors and all that kind of stuff with the things, but they have another one for the hands. But yeah, the lab's kind of fun because there's a drone, there's a bow and arrow game, which is really fun. And then there's another game where you can shoot the little robots and smash everything. And that's kind of so. It was a fun introduction to VR.
Yeah, no, I must check it out. Because I have to
Oh,
play that.
Nvidia did one as well. Nvidia did the Nvidia Funhouse, which is like a fair, and there's some pretty fun stuff in there that's kind of interesting. Considering it's like 4 or 5 years old now.
Cheapest, I don't even know about that.
They were all free, like the lab and that were all free things. So
No, I think. Does anyone want to mention anything before we move on?
Yeah.
If you could have any one VR headset, which would you have, and why? Regardless of price.
existing. Or,
Existing.
Like, does it have to be a real one, or can it be like a not real one?
Real one, and then give your not so
Okay.
real one.
I'd have whatever comes after the index in terms of like with eye tracking and things like that. So like the Index 2, for instance, or whatever,
Yeah.
or an Index. And then not real ones, probably the Oasis consoles from Ready Player One,
For sure.
because their goggles are cool.
Reacting?
Going to assume holodecks count.
Since this is the only true wireless headset, it's the only headset I want, I guess. It's the headset I have, yeah.
No.
By Pry. I mean, the eye tracking, gotta have that now. That I have it, I can't get rid of it. And the wireless, I mean...
Yeah.
We should probably preface that Reactant owns one of every headset they make, so he's got them all.
Well, I mean,
And you always have a
please
Climax as well.
tell me you have like a rack which they sit on, and you've like got them showcased or something.
I only have 3 headsets. Jeez. 3. I've had
Only
more.
one
I
head.
sold the others.
Index,
Okay, so-
only have 3.
Viper Eye, and CV1, right?
No, just a Vive. I also had a regular Vive Pro, but that I sold. So
Hmm.
I didn't need another Vive Pro.
Dude, we need more
but the
headsets.
headset
with
that I'd want-
PlayStations.
Something like Star VR, but wireless. I mean, that's really, with lip tracking too. It needs eye tracking, lip tracking. It needs to be wireless, and it needs to have the 210 FOV. I think that would be perfect, with OLED
Yeah.
screens, of course.
So,
Would you go OLED or would you go LCD with better black ratios like the Index? Because the Index apparently is
No.
better clarity, just worse black.
I have an Index. Trust me, the Vive Pro way better on the blacks by miles.
I will be on the
You'd have
glass
to
one.
go
So if
back
you
and
had an
forth between them.
LCD with better blacks, though, so if you had like LED level black quality, but with an LCD screen, would that be better?
No, you're not going to get those black quality. You're not going to get that. I mean, with an LCD, that's the problem. You just won't. And I use
I
the
like the
index
idea of
sometimes, but
the-
I can't stand the gray.
Super high density, like micro LED panels that are put in the Panasonic headsets.
Yeah.
They're using it. So
Dude,
super tiny field
The
of view and
size
stuff,
of
but
a
the
freaking
screen.
coin. Like,
Yeah. But it's
And-
like 4K.
yeah. Like, imagine how expensive the headset must be to produce. Like, just
Probably not that
imagine.
much. Panasonic own the technology behind it, so they manufacture it cheap anyway. That's why Panasonic TVs are super cheap.
True that.
That's the one thing that makes some of the headsets in the future probably going to be a bit cheaper, is because it's not proprietary stuff created from the ground up by companies that aren't really in that sort of hardware industry. It's going to be companies that own the rights and patents on no end of technology going, oh, well, we've got the best screens on the planet and we've got the best infrared sensors on the planet. Let's just put them in a headset and throw $500 million at it because they've got the money and the knowledge and the kit.
Yeah.
A lot of the money that goes into VR development at the minute is the R&D stuff to make the headsets, because these companies don't have the sort of history and the grandfather system into the tech industry. So they're having to kind of blindly stumble at it until they get a product.
That's also like what's interested me in the idea that they have, like, people like Panasonic haven't really dived into VR. I mean, they have the panel technology. Why don't they team up or try to produce one? Which they have now. They've done the VR glasses, but that was a demo. They're not actually gonna like sell that to
Oh,
consumers.
they're doing that as a movie watching situation, aren't they? So it's probably going to do what they did with the initial 3D glasses. They'll probably bundle it with a specific package of television.
Yeah.
So you can go, oh, we can watch it in these cool headsets. It's a $4,000 television,
Yeah.
which is always a con. No television is worth over $1,000. I don't care what it is.
Mhm.
They did the same thing with the curved tellies. They bought the curved tellies out with the OLEDs and all that stuff, and they were like $6,000.
I remember going into a shop and like just walking down the mall, and in the like the window of the shop, this, I don't know, can't remember what shop it was, but this TV was retailing for 100,000 rand, which is equivalent to like, in back then was probably around $9,000.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Like, I looked at it and I was like, who the frick is gonna pay that much money for a TV? Like, legitimately. What
Stupid
random
people.
person is gonna walk inside there and be like, oh, I want that TV, let's pick it up and put in a boot? Like,
That whole thing is built around stupid people. There's Curry's PC World in the UK, and they will sell televisions and laptops at inflated prices with them that are all under spec, but they will lie to people to sell them.
that's
If
basically
you go in
Apple.
there with any tech knowledge, they won't
right.
talk to you. Like, they hate being there. If you have any idea of like the basic understanding of a laptop or a television and the costs and power and all that stuff, they hate you. They just want you to get the thing you came in for and get out.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go, if my missus goes in for certain things, they'll beeline for her.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in there before for 2 hours and staff have gone nowhere near me. Like, I just want to buy a keyboard. Anyone? It's
Yeah.
kind of fun.
Yeah, I rescued my mother in a like a shop buying a 4K TV. They were trying to sell her. There were two TVs. One had upscaling 4K, so it would take 1080p and upscale it to 4K, which looks way better. They were trying to sell her a more expensive 4K TV that didn't have upscaling.
Oh, so it would just make everything that wasn't from a 4K input look like a potato.
Literally. And it was a monstrous TV. It was bigger than the other one, more expensive, and didn't have upscaling.
Even with upscaling, there's very few things in real everyday use of a television that can output 4K, so you're very rarely ever going to see 4K.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was the thing. People went straight out and went, yeah, it's 4K. But at the time, like Sky TV and stuff could only output 1080p.
Mm-hmm.
So you were like, it's a 4K telly. And it doesn't look 4K because nothing is 4K at the minute. It was like
Literally,
2 years
right.
later that the PlayStation was like, oh, we do 4K now.
Mm-hmm. So
That's fine.
yeah, like upscaling, that's the way to go. And that TV is crystal clear when playing Blu-ray movies. It is
Oh, it will be. Yeah.
so good. But yeah, does anyone want to add anything?
I'm actually a pretty big Quest fan. As much as I don't know how I feel about the Facebook ties, it still feels Palmer Lucky-ish enough that I like putting it on, and the versatility of being able to plug it into the computer and basically having a tethered set. I like it a lot. It's mobile. I'm kind of a nomad, so it helps me.
I like the idea of the Quest. You know, I talked to the wife about it the other day, about buying 3 Quests and having it just as like a cinema thing and like a thing for me, her, and the kid, because my kid's nearly 11. And it'd be cool to like, let's watch a film we all enjoy, but instead of having it on the 50-inch telly, let's watch it on a 50-foot cinema sat in the living room, which would be nice to do with all of you just sat with headsets on. That'd be a really good sort of home use for those kind of systems. But as someone that owns the better stuff, like, I don't see the sense of a Quest if you have something else.
Yeah.
It's a good entry piece of equipment, and I can imagine most people that start with a Quest go, you know what, this is good, but it's not good enough, let's upgrade. And they can jump. So I think see the Quest as a stepping stone rather than an actual usable piece of technology in the long run.
As a category, it certainly appeals a lot to me, of the more budget-ended, more mobile side of things. That does seem, it's definitely going to have
still
a
like
place moving
$400,
forward.
$500.
Yes, the
Yeah, for
Quest
$400,
2,
I
Quest
love
3,
my Quest when I
whatever
had it.
other company takes. I'm sorry.
No, continue.
I assume other companies will begin also taking that same approach, looking to have a piece of hardware that fits that category of pricing and that category of usability. And even if the Quest itself isn't necessarily the greatest piece of hardware under the sun right now, I will always keep an eyeball on that as a group to see what comes forward.
Definitely, that's a sensible way to look at it.
It's kind of the Nintendo level, right? The PlayStation level, the consumer side, I guess. That's going to be that entry level, like you were talking about. Yeah.
No, like, I loved my Quest when I had it. Like, I really, really enjoyed my Quest. And then when jumping into it and being able to just like spin around and have no cables twisting up was something incredible. And I think that's why you really enjoy your wireless Vive Pro, because wireless is king. And I want one. I want a good headset that has wireless.
I'd put the wireless on the Vive if I figured it was going to be worth the money, but it's still like $150, $200 for the wireless thing.
Yeah.
Which I think is an excessive amount of money for a wireless adapter.
Yeah, it is pretty pricey.
So that's the thing. I do have to assume wireless is going to become more the norm as things march forward. Technology gets better, things get cheaper. It just seems like it's too flexible to use for it not to become more common.
I have a feeling like HTC is that company like Apple to have a product and be like, this has decent specs, $1,000.
Yeah.
like
and for the
everything
next 3
from
years,
them.
We'll release a new one every 12 months, but we'll only change the faceplates and one thing.
Yeah, and then when we do have a revolutionary headset that could be really good in the market and shake the market up a little bit, we'll release it completely broken.
Did you say Index? Didn't the Index do that?
Literally.
This is my second pair of Index controllers.
Yeah, that's what they do with everybody's controllers before they ship them out.
Or just bang them together.
These are still durable.
Do they work?
Acoustic test.
Is anything shaking in them? Let's test.
I'm going to just spin them round by their thumbsticks and see if they stay in, and if they stay in, they go, that's good.
Oh,
Only the
goodness.
left one.
Only the left one. I think they mixed up my controllers with that test.
Oh, okay, because my left one was the one that went. Like.
It's a couple more spins that'll fix it.
Goodness, I promise you, dude. Like, I don't mind the drift. I've gotten used to it now. But I would still like my controllers to work.
Why haven't you RMA'd it?
South Africa, lockdown, quarantine, slow shipping rates, currency gone to shit.
If they start the process, though, they'll send you the
No,
controllers.
they won't. I've got to send it to someone in the US, which because of
Oh,
lockdown, Mm. So it'll happen,
Move
but
countries.
it'll happen. I won't do. It will happen. Promise you that.
Go live with Leon's family.
Damn. Mass adoption for VR. How long would you estimate it would take until there's like a point of which there is at least one headset or one VR headset in almost every household? Like, what do you think the steps would be for that?
Depends on the growth of technology. Anywhere from 5 to 10 years minimum.
Minimum, yeah.
One's
I can see
probably
that.
wise there.
Yeah.
At bare minimum, like it would for it to be within 5 to 10 years, there would have to be some dramatic technology increases and price drops all at the same time. It would
Yeah.
have to get 3 times as capable and 3 times cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
We do occasionally see expensive products that get mass adoption. Smartphones managed it inside of a decade. I
DVD
be
did it.
surprised to see VR take the same course, though.
Yeah. We just
Yeah,
need
'cause usually
a
it
big
requires a
company.
PC,
We just
which
need a
is,
big
like,
company like
big bucks.
Panasonic to come in, or whoever makes screens, and just manufacture them cheaply and affordably, and then pass it on to someone like Valve, HEC.
I think the super mass adoption thing would hinge on certain technologies you wouldn't necessarily attribute to VR. So you need mass adoption of minimum gigabit internet speeds across the board, and you'd need companies that do game streaming services to be heavily optimized. Because if you could send out something like a Quest to people without a PC and they can stream a game through a gigabit download and play perfectly with just the Quest, then immediately that's going to be something people are going to look at.
Yeah.
It's the biggest, I think the biggest barrier other than the technology and things is the fact that you need a couple of $1,000s worth of computer to run it at a decent frame rate, and they're either going to have to work on the rendering tech to make it work as well as it does now on flat screen, or do something else they're going to have to fix a bunch of technology to make it usable.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just about the headsets and the games available and things. It's everything that's involved in the pipeline from sort of consumer down.
Yeah, I think there's also a lot of. I rarely think about this, and I don't know why it came across my mind, but if you think that a lot of the people buying headsets right now are younger, or they're adults buying for their children, as those kids grow up into being adults, they're going to be more comfortable in this as a working space and a collaborative space, and they'll probably lean more and more toward having these as a prominent, no TV, maybe not as much on the iPad that they're in the headset now. So I mean that could be in that 10-year window, not within it, outside of it. Yeah, that would be.
As soon as my kid's old enough to be in somewhere like Neos and it be sensible to have him in here, he'll get the kit and stuff and he'll be able to do it. That's number one on the list of things to upgrade him to. When he's at a certain age, he can have access to certain things. I definitely don't think it's a good idea to expose children to certain things in VR under a certain age group, because it's too hard to have the safeties in place for them.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't have a metaverse and then realistically have a 10-year-old have access to it. And I've met a few 10-year-olds in metaverses that really shouldn't have been there. And so there's some grey areas in there with regards to when do you allow children who are to be the future power users access to that technology in those environments without there being any kind of governing force behind it to keep them sort of protected.
Yeah.
And that's still, because I'm a parent, that's sort of primary in the concerns for that, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna get my younger brother a headset. I was gonna give him my Quest, but after seeing what happens in VR and then like the interactions that happen in VR as well, I'm like, I don't think his maturity is there yet to be in the metaverse space. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna hold this back.
I'm just watching react and play with his eye tracking. He's like blinking one eye and opening and closing them one at a time. It's like a drunk sailor.
Understand the internet is a bit of a weird place, but to pick both your brains here on that point, what worse things are really likely to occur inside of VR that wouldn't occur inside of like Xbox Live?
Well, again, that's the probably not necessarily worse things, but that's not something I would have my child exposed to either.
Certainly fair.
So it's the same. You should apply the same logic to it. Like if you're a shit parent, you're going to let your child into live chat on Xbox and have grown-ups swearing at them and bullying them and all those kind of things because you're a bad parent. That's not anything to do with the Xbox Live services or anything. That's just a lack of common sense. And if you have VR, Xbox Live, or any of those sorts of things, you should use your common sense about when they have access to it.
Do you think it's possible to curate environments inside of VR for kids successfully?
I think Rec Room has done that well.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Rec Room did a good job. It's about limiting the platform in a way that discourages people from using it unless they're in the age category.
That's exactly it. No adult wants to play Rec Room.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's no desire to at all.
It's possible even a direction inside of marketing will simply make a platform like Rec Room become known to be for kids, thus driving out the audience that might make that environment unfriendly to kids. We'll say.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It's possible.
That's how it is with Rec Room.
The wider the adoption gets with things, the smarter the technology gets. You probably end up with things like retina scans or something built into the headsets to linked to an account that knows your age, and you can use those sort of things to limit the age and content people can see. And so there's a lot of those sort of things that aren't necessarily a consideration at the minute, but as it becomes more widely adopted, they're going to have to put some of that stuff in, because there's going to be pedophile rings and all sorts of stuff trying to get into the VR place because it's almost untraceable. And whilst everybody will agree they should be shot in public and forcibly fed to small pigs,
I agree strongly. Half up.
The safeties do need to be there ahead of time to avoid anything happening, because the last thing you want to do is be having to deal with that situation after the fact when you could have done something to prevent it.
Yeah.
And that's not just for children either. That's for disabled people who are at risk, or people with more sort of childish natures just through disability, things like that need protection. And there's nothing to protect them at the moment, and that's something that really needs to be taken care of before mass adoption can happen.
Yeah, no, I agree with you quite strongly there.
The difference between like can and perhaps should. There's not a lack of Xboxes out there, so
Yeah.
But the difference with the things is when you got Xbox and it's a screen, you can just go, I ain't doing it. And if it's on a screen, it's across there and there's a remove. When you've got it on your head, there are things that, especially if you have limited mental capacities or sort of social skills and stuff, if it happens in a VR headset, you don't necessarily think to take it off. And there's things that can be thrown at you or shown or played or whatever in VR that are more of an experience than just seeing something on a screen. Like you put a 10-year-old in some of these horror VR games and it will mentally scar them for life.
Well,
Hell yeah.
And people don't realize that it's not just a movie.
It's not the same thing as a film. Kids have grown up with films and things like that being separate.
Yeah.
And VR is not separate.
Dude, I keep saying this because it's the only horror VR game I've played, but Legion VR scared the living fucking shit out of me. I still have not played Chapter 2. I cannot play Chapter 2.
I refuse. I'm a horror artist. I've watched every horror film going. Horror is my genre. I refuse to play them because I know I will take this expensive headset and smash it off of a wall.
Dude, it is.
You should try Alien Isolation VR mod.
God.
That game in VR is... I've gotten through like at least 30 minutes of it, and I haven't played it since. But I plan to.
I had the Gear VR when the Gear VR came out, and I plugged my Samsung into it and put it on my head, and it was one of those things where you couldn't move. You could only turn your head, and you had a button to interact with things on the screen. And one of them was like a ghost story interactive thing, and you're lying on a bed in a kid's room, and something goes, and it's dark, like creepy bedroom. And there were a couple of random occurrences, like floating blocks or things like that. And honestly, I'm a grown-ass man, and I shit my pants. I was, I was like, oh, this is interesting. This is really cool. There's a creepy thing in the cupboard. That's weird. And then it jumps at you, and I threw my headset. No.
I was like,
It's the one thing my brain cannot handle.
the worst is when you watch those videos of those of grandparents in VR and they go on the roller coasters and they freak out. And like, imagine
They
putting
lose
them
their
in a
mind.
horror game. Uh-oh. My game just crashed. I think.
Small,
Oh, hello. My game's back.
Small came in.
Sup,
Oh,
small.
joy didn't crash, everyone.
Nuke. But yeah, like, imagine putting like your grandparents in a VR horror game. You give it
That'd be a surefire way to get your inheritance. wouldn't it?
literally. Like,
Hey man, put this on. Oh, a heart attack. What happened? That wasn't predictable at all.
watch. We're now gonna see that in the news come like a week's time.
Death by VR. Like, would that be manslaughter?
I don't
If you knew
know.
it was going to do it.
I don't know. That would be a very interesting court case.
Imagine trying to bury a body and having to bury $1,000 VR kit as well. That'd be the worst part. Or like quietly bury your vibe whilst crying.
Well, that's what the inheritance is for.
Yeah, for Hi, Nan. Cheers.
The insurance money.
Oh, new Reverb G2. Sweet.
Give your Nan a kick in the head as you leave. See ya.
Goodness. That'd be so rough. Oh, man. Anyway.
That's worse things you could have done with your dead Nan.
What happened to the music? Oh, no, it's still
Still
there.
Still here?
It's like all of a sudden got really quiet.
Like we've done what we always do, we kind of stay on
Sub.
topic to quite a good point, but then we veer off very sharply into
Sub, yeah.
dead bodies or something.
You good?
Always,
There's
always
a-
something with blood. Somebody's dying. Somebody's losing a limb. Something.
Is that only when I'm here, or is it my fault, or is it like every time?
I would say it's your fault. But it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine.
No, you missed it. I said, whoo.
Oh,
Woo.
okay, there you go. Yeah. This works.
I'd like to know my place.
Oh, no. Oh.
Oh,
Oh,
frames.
Oh.
Hold it steady, steady.
Oh.
Breaking.
I,
Just a bit.
like, my resolution has gone to garbage.
Really?
It's
It's
gone
fine, I
to...
can fix it. I can fix it. Leon,
Uh-huh.
Oh, my goodness.
there's your frames
Oh,
back.
what happened to
Oh
my
my
frames, though?
Man, kills
better give him the
everybody's
pop.
frames
Oh.
while giving them to...
Ah,
yeah, he needs some more
This is
than that.
nasty. I think I glitched my game. I can't
Oh
even...
god, I think
Oh
I
no.
think that Avatar's worse with full body tracking.
Oh man, I'm a laggy mess. Should I respawn you? No, I won't respawn you.
I don't know if it'll work. Oh my goodness. Well, that's one way of it.
Casual intermission.
Ow, 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 my hand.
I was waiting for that.
Oh, that's
Imagine a
brilliant.
lawyer.
That's
That's funny.
They're just too powerful.
I
that's
was
what
waiting
you...
for the
It's inevitable.
just
At what
cracks his
point-
head off a door.
At what point do you think there's going to be a huge lawsuit for somebody doing like what he just did? Like, oh, I fell down or I tripped or something, and you've got
by
the.
now, right?
Yeah, I
That's
think they would have tried it by now. If anyone's tried it, I don't think they've succeeded.
If
Yeah,
you like,
but-
I mean, I stubbed my, my toe,
Well, that's one way of it.
I'm not going to.
like,
That's
3
a
months ago,
different type of court case, mate. That's why.
and it still hurts. I think I broke it.
You broke it?
I don't know, my big toe has been in pain for 3 months now. Ever since I nailed it really hard in VR.
You should
get your toe
probably
x-rayed.
go get that looked at.
I was going to, and then coronavirus happened, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'll
Just
wait.
live with a black toe. It's fine.
No,
Just gonna
eventually it'll
walk it
just...
off.
It'll fix itself, it'll fall off.
Well, the nail's cracked. Like the top of the nail is cracked
Ah.
in the middle.
Hmm.
God, what did you
that's-
kick? A Buick?
I don't know what I kicked. I don't know what happened
Passing
really.
cars, it moved.
He doesn't know what happens. You know what that means?
Well, the thing is,
There were some liquids involved.
there were some liquids involved. Exactly. I woke up in the morning and just like, what happened?
I woke up like my head hurts and my toe hurts. That's new.
Squint at the toe. Reason. Oh, it's still attached. I got out of it better than I thought I would have.
Oh, it must have been a rough waking. Anyway.
It was worse when I
like the
stepped it
idea,
again in that
I like
video.
the idea of
with
somebody
the-
trying to sue a VR company because they were stupid and they fell over in VR.
I've stepped it 3 times now.
Imagine going to court as reactant and being like, yeah, Neos, I'm taking you to court because I got drunk and bust my ass and I'm blaming you for it.
I mean, to be fair,
finger hurts.
legal systems vary the world over, but I don't know. You can misuse anything. If you try and walk upstairs and you trip and you smash your face into them, you're not going to successfully sue anyone on that basis. I don't know what you'd need to succeed in court against VR.
You probably
hardware
need some
failure.
kind of, like an electric shock in your face from the headset or something like that. Probably would be
User
okay.
error is a very broad category, and by God, can we find creative ways to make errors. I don't think we sue based on them very often, though.
What about using it as a defense in a court case? But I was in VR
For?
and
Oh, like you could kill
for-
someone while wearing it, do you think?
The hypothetical, what happens
Well,
if
you
you're
can
in
now,
VR?
the quest
and so
with
you
its
swing at a
posture.
zombie, and you punch Bob in the room with you.
yeah, something like that.
Well,
I've
Your
done that.
Honor,
I've
I was
punched my
defending
kid.
myself against a zombie. It was very
You're a bad parent.
I had a slug it. Oh, just happened to be
No, like it was the 5 wands, and I was doing. I think it was Anyland or something. I was building something, and I made a thing, and I went to move it somewhere, and I backhanded my kid.
What?
So, but all I knew was I was moving a thing, and I got.
Confused
Damn!
now.
I had to kind of
You just, like,
lift my face and like.
I'm
like,
trying to sweep
"Ew,
the
get
chimney.
away."
Dad. Leave me alone.
I was like,
Your Honor, if they didn't want me to punch people with these controllers, they wouldn't have named them Knuckles.
I moved him away. It was like, here's my
Case
controller.
closed. Let's go to lunch.
Why don't you?
Somebody was wearing it once. Like if you put it on a child and then they start to stumble, you'll catch them, but you won't catch them to keep the child in one piece. You'll catch them to stop the VR breaking.
Mm.
And like, no,
No, the index.
we can make a new child. I can't afford a new index.
Children are free, indexes are not.
The man who's never had a child. Children are free.
Yeah, children are free.
Oh god, I just about choked on me.
Don't swallow it now.
That's what she said.
What? Hang on, if she said that, I'm afraid she's not a she. Like, that's not how it works, Spider. Disappears into couch.
Oh, my lungs.
It's quite mesmerizing, Leon.
It is, eh?
I had to put it down earlier. I was playing with it for too long. Whoa.
My resolution in game's gotten so bad that putting it at 500% super sampling still isn't at normal quality.
Have you accidentally opened your Steam camera and it's just not opened?
I don't know. It's broken though.
Double click your Steam menu.
I just swim.
My Steam menu?
Like the button that opens Steam.
Yeah.
Did it do anything?
Nope. Like it feels
Like
like
it
this. It feels like the Steam camera's open.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. We got 8-bit Spider now.
Oh, bro, you made it through! It's like in Star Wars.
Why are my sensors off? There we go. That was weird.
Spider, what happened to you? You're like on 10-bit audio.
I don't know. My sensors went.
Okay, I gotta turn it so that looks really fun.
Your voice. You sound like you're on helium. Like,
Oh,
That's hard to do.
lower voice.
Oh, like
If that makes any
boring.
sense.
Well, that's what happened before. It's the Steam audio thing.
I think all our connections are slowly collapsing. They're going well.
Oh my god! I need to clip this. You need this. You need to hear yourself. It's.
But I'm a dinosaur, and it's great. Hi, Bob.
Oh my goodness. Hello, Max.
It feels real.
Hey, my boy. What's up? What you doing here? You want attention? Is that what you're here for? Oh, no. Go away now.
I pressed enter. Oopsie.
Hey, sit down.
Look at reactor.
Sit down some.
Hey.
Sup? I'm surprised how well his full body tracking works with that. Is anyone else looking at this and thinking the same thing?
It's just creepy.
That is... Like, that is crazy.
Oh, sure.
Ooh, don't break the other toe now.
That looks slightly less impressive.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh.
Going from raptor to T-Rex.
Use menus too on this.
When I explain this stuff to people I know,
This
I
is
think
some
they
sort
think
of
I'm
mating
crazy.
ritual, I swear.
Right?
Oh, God, no
It's
reactors, dude.
crazy the things that you do in VR and the things that happen in VR. I mean, it's freeze. Oh no.
Oh, hello.
Actually ends with this
Is it mating season?
I think it's mating season.
That's just how it goes.
Oh, hello.
How to end show?
Hi.
Raptors.
Even my dog's like,
Hey.
Sup?
Well,
What, my boy? What do you want?
This is great. I love this thing. It's huge,
Uh,
just the arms, but
Well, I'm gonna end the
I
stream.
can save it.
Thank you so much for coming, and thank you everyone for being here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, this is fun.
Get out of here. Breaking up
Hug.
you.
I'm being
Well, I
hugged.
showed up for the
Hello.
last 5 minutes, but it
Big
doesn't
hug.
matter since I got the witness.
Difficulties assumed, it went well.
Paste it.
Paste it. Drop
At
it.
least I got to witness this.
Am I still deep?